Sometimes the most meaningful connections happen when we least expect them. Alexandra's voice was soft as she looked into the camera, her hand intertwined with Jack's. 3 years ago, I was a billionaire CEO who couldn't even get a restaurant table on New Year's Eve. Now I'm part of a family I never knew I needed. She smiled as Jack's daughter Lily bounced into frame, her gap-toothed grin lighting up the screen. If you're feeling alone this holiday season, stay with us. Our story might just give you hope that the universe has a plan, even when it seems like everything's falling apart. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps us share more stories about finding connection in unexpected places. Alexandra Chen stood on the sidewalk outside Bellini's, the wind whipping her cashmere coat around her legs, snowflakes catching in her dark hair. Through the restaurant's frosted windows, she could see the warm glow of candlelight, the sparkle of champagne glasses, the animated faces of people celebrating the final hours of the year together. People with reservations. "I'm sorry, Ms. Chen," the maitre d' had said moments earlier, not looking sorry at all despite recognizing her name. "We're completely booked for New Year's Eve. Perhaps you could try the hotel restaurant?" At 36, Alexandra was the CEO of Horizon Technologies, a company she'd built from the ground up into a billion-dollar enterprise. She could buy this entire restaurant if she wanted to. What she couldn't do, apparently, was get a table for one on the busiest night of the year without a reservation. She checked her watch, 9:45 p.m. Just over 2 hours until midnight. 2 more hours of this miserable year. It had been a successful year by most metrics. Horizon had launched 3 new products, acquired 2 smaller companies, and seen its stock price double. Alexandra had been featured on the cover of Business Insider and named one of the 40 under 40 to watch. What the magazines didn't mention was how empty her penthouse felt when she returned home each night. How the congratulatory messages that flooded her inbox never included invitations to personal celebrations. How she'd spent Christmas Day alone, working on quarterly projections while the rest of the world gathered with loved ones. She hadn't planned to be alone tonight. Her assistant had made a reservation at Bellini's weeks ago, a table for 2. Alexandra had invited Marcus, her CFO and the closest thing she had to a friend, to join her. But at the last minute, his daughter had gone into labor with his first grandchild, and he'd flown to Chicago to be with his family. Family. The word felt foreign to Alexandra. Her parents had died in a car accident when she was in college, leaving her with no siblings, no close relatives. She'd poured her grief into building Horizon, using work to fill the void left by their absence. Now, standing alone in the snow, she wondered if she'd made a mistake. If success without connection was success at all. She was about to turn away, resign herself to room service and CNN's New Year's coverage, when she heard a tap on the window. Looking up, she saw a man inside the restaurant waving at her. He was seated at a table with a young girl, perhaps 8 or 9 years old. The man was gesturing for her to come inside. Alexandra hesitated. Was he waving at someone behind her? She glanced over her shoulder, but the sidewalk was empty. When she looked back, the man was still waving, more insistently now. The little girl beside him was giggling, her face bright with excitement. Alexandra found herself moving toward the door, drawn by their warmth like a moth to flame. The maitre d' frowned as she re-entered. "Ms. Chen, as I explained." "That lady is with us," called the man from his table. "She's just running late." The maitre d' looked skeptical, but the man was already pulling out the 3rd chair at his table. Alexandra made her way through the crowded restaurant, aware of curious glances from other diners. "Hi," the man said as she approached. "I'm Jack. This is my daughter, Lily. You looked like you could use a table, and we have an extra seat." Up close, Jack was perhaps in his late 30s, with kind eyes and laugh lines that suggested he smiled often. He wore a simple button-down shirt, nothing fancy, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. Lily had her father's eyes and a gap-toothed smile, her dark hair pulled back in a slightly messy ponytail. I couldn't possibly intrude on your evening, Alexandra said, suddenly feeling awkward despite being the one who normally commanded rooms. You're not intruding, Jack insisted. It's New Year's Eve. No one should be alone on New Year's Eve. Please sit with us, Lily added. Daddy says it's good luck to help someone on the last day of the year. Alexandra found herself smiling, a real smile, not the practiced one she used in board meetings. In that case, how can I refuse? I'm Alexandra. Just Alexandra? Jack asked, pulling out her chair. Just Alexandra tonight, she confirmed, slipping off her coat and sitting down. Tonight, she didn't want to be Alexandra Chen, CEO. She wanted to be the kind of person who could accept kindness from strangers. Well, just Alexandra, Jack said with a grin, you're just in time. We were about to order dessert. Jack Sullivan hadn't planned on inviting a stranger to join their New Year's Eve dinner. But when he'd glanced up from his conversation with Lily and seen the woman standing alone in the snow, something about her expression had tugged at him. She'd looked lost. Not just physically, but in a deeper way that resonated with him. He knew that feeling. He'd worn it himself in the years after Sarah died, leaving him to raise Lily alone. So, Alexandra, he said, pouring her a glass of water, what brings you out alone on New Year's Eve? She hesitated, as if deciding how much to share. My dinner plans fell through at the last minute. My friend had a family emergency. Jack nodded. That's tough. Especially tonight. It's just another night, she said, but her tone suggested otherwise. Daddy says New Year's Eve is magic, Lily chimed in, her small face serious. He says it's when the universe gives us a chance to start over. Alexandra's expression softened as she looked at Lily. Your dad sounds very wise. Sometimes, Jack admitted with a laugh. Other times I'm just making it up as I go along. Aren't we all? Alexandra said, and for a moment, their eyes met in shared understanding. The waiter arrived to take their dessert orders. Lily, predictably, chose the chocolate lava cake. Jack opted for tiramisu. Alexandra hesitated, scanning the menu. The crème brûlée is excellent, Jack suggested. If you like that sort of thing. I haven't had crème brûlée in years, she admitted. Not since Paris. You've been to Paris? Lily asked, eyes wide. Is it as pretty as in the movies? And just like that, the ice was broken. Alexandra began telling Lily about the lights of the Eiffel Tower, the boats on the Seine, the tiny cafes where she'd sit for hours watching the world go by. Jack watched as his daughter hung on every word, and as Alexandra gradually relaxed, her gestures becoming more animated, her smile more frequent. There was something about her that intrigued him. She was beautiful, certainly, in an elegant, understated way. But it was more than that. Behind her polished exterior, he sensed a complexity, a depth that drew him in. What about you, Jack? Alexandra asked, turning her attention to him after finishing her Paris stories. What do you do when you're not rescuing stranded diners on New Year's Eve? I'm a high school English teacher, he said. Not nearly as glamorous as jetting off to Paris, but I like it. Daddy makes books come alive, Lily said proudly. His students say he's the best teacher ever. Jack felt his cheeks warm. Well, ninth graders are easily impressed. I doubt that, Alexandra said. Teenagers are notoriously hard to impress. You must be very good at what you do. There was genuine respect in her voice, something Jack wasn't used to hearing when he mentioned his profession. Most people responded with polite interest that barely masked their assumption that teaching was a fallback career, not a calling. I try, he said simply. What about you? What keeps you busy? Again, that slight hesitation. I work in technology. Software development. Jack sensed there was more to the story, but he didn't press. Everyone was entitled to their privacy, especially with strangers. Their desserts arrived, momentarily distracting them. Lily dug into her chocolate cake with enthusiasm, getting a smudge on her cheek that Jack gently wiped away with his napkin. It was such a familiar gesture, one he'd performed countless times over the years, but he noticed Alexandra watching them with an expression he couldn't quite read. "How old is Lily?" she asked softly. "I'm 8 3/4, Lily answered before Jack could. "My birthday is in March." "A very precise age," Alexandra noted with a smile. "When you're young, those fractions matter," Jack said. "Every month brings new discoveries." "And you've been raising her alone?" Alexandra asked, then immediately looked as if she regretted the question. "I'm sorry, that's personal." "It's okay," Jack assured her. "Yes, it's been just the two of us since Lily was 3. Her mom, Sarah, died of cancer." "I'm so sorry," Alexandra said, and the genuine empathy in her voice touched him. "It was hard," he acknowledged. "Still is, sometimes. But we've built a good life, haven't we, Lil?" Lily nodded, chocolate smeared on her lips. "We're a team." "The best team," Jack agreed, feeling the familiar swell of love for his daughter. Alexandra was watching them with that same unreadable expression. "You're very lucky to have each other." "We are," Jack said. Then, sensing the conversation had veered into territory that might be uncomfortable for their unexpected guest, he changed the subject. "So, any New Year's resolutions, Alexandra?" She seemed grateful for the shift. "I don't usually make them. They tend to be forgotten by February." "That's because people make the wrong kind of resolutions," Jack said. "They focus on what they think they should want, not what would actually make them happy." "And what would make you happy, Jack?" she asked, her gaze direct. The question caught him off guard. What would make him happy? He had Lily, his teaching, their small but comfortable home. He had friends, colleagues he respected, students who challenged and inspired him. But there were still nights when the house felt too quiet, when he longed for adult conversation, for someone to share the small triumphs and frustrations of his day. "More moments like this," he said honestly. "Good food, good company, no agenda. The simple things." Alexandra's expression softened. "That sounds perfect, actually." "What about you, Alexandra?" Lily asked, scraping the last of the chocolate from her plate. "What would make you happy?" Jack was about to intervene. It seemed too personal a question to ask someone they just met, but Alexandra was already answering. "I think, more moments like this too," she said softly. "I've spent too much time focused on the next goal, the next achievement. I've forgotten how to just be present." The honesty in her voice struck Jack. There was a vulnerability there that seemed at odds with her composed exterior. "Well," he said, raising his water glass, "here's to more moments like this in the new year." Alexandra raised her glass, her eyes meeting his. "To more moments like this." Lily giggled, raising her own glass so enthusiastically that water sloshed over the rim. "To more moments." As they laughed together, Jack felt something shift in the atmosphere. What had begun as a simple act of kindness was becoming something more, a genuine connection with this mysterious woman who had walked into their lives on the last night of the year. Alexandra couldn't remember the last time she'd laughed so freely. As the evening progressed, she found herself sharing stories she rarely told, about her college years, her travels, her disastrous attempt at learning to ski. In return, Jack told her about the challenges and joys of teaching, about Lily's latest school project, about their tradition of Sunday morning pancakes. Lily, fighting to stay awake as the hour grew later, contributed her own observations about everything from her classroom hamster to why the moon followed them when they drove at night. It was so different from Alexandra's usual dinner conversations, which revolved around market projections, competitor analysis, and strategic planning. This was human. Warm. Real. She checked her watch, surprised to find it was already 11:30 p.m. It's getting late, she said reluctantly. I should probably let you two get on with your evening. But it's almost midnight, Lily protested, stifling a yawn. You have to stay for the countdown. Jack gave Alexandra a questioning look. She's right, you know. It's bad luck to start the new year alone. Is that another one of your wise sayings? Alexandra teased. Absolutely, he said with a grin. I have an endless supply. The restaurant had grown more festive as midnight approached. The staff were distributing party hats and noisemakers, and a small band in the corner was playing jazz renditions of holiday classics. Okay, Alexandra agreed. I'll stay for the countdown. Lily clapped her hands in delight, then immediately covered a yawn. Someone's getting sleepy, Jack observed. I'm not sleepy, Lily insisted, even as her eyelids drooped. I'm staying up till midnight. Of course you are, Jack said, exchanging an amused glance with Alexandra. As the band played, What Are You Doing New Year's Eve, Jack turned to Alexandra. Would you like to dance? Just until the countdown starts. She hesitated. It had been years since she'd danced with anyone. In her world, galas and charity events were networking opportunities, not places for genuine enjoyment. I'd like that, she said, surprising herself. Jack stood and offered his hand. Lily, will you be okay here for a minute? Lily nodded, resting her head on her arms at the table. I'm just resting my eyes. Jack led Alexandra to the small area near the band where a few other couples were swaying to the music. His hand was warm at her waist, his touch respectful but confident as they began to move together. Thank you, Alexandra said quietly. For the dance? For everything. For inviting me to join you, for making me feel welcome. This evening has been unexpected, in the best possible way. Jack's eyes crinkled as he smiled. I'm glad you accepted. It's been nice getting to know you. Even though I crashed your father-daughter dinner? Especially because of that. Lily and I have our routines, our comfortable patterns. It's good to shake things up sometimes, meet new people. As they danced, Alexandra found herself studying his face, the kindness in his eyes, the slight stubble on his jaw, the way his expression softened when he glanced over at Lily. He wasn't conventionally handsome in the way of the men she typically encountered in her corporate world, but there was something genuinely attractive about him, an authenticity that drew her in. What? He asked, noticing her scrutiny. I was just thinking that you're not what I expected when I walked into this restaurant tonight. Is that good or bad? Definitely good, she assured him. You've reminded me that there's more to life than, she caught herself before mentioning work. Than the things I usually focus on. The song ended, and they returned to the table to find Lily fast asleep, her head pillowed on her arms. So much for staying up until midnight, Jack said fondly, brushing a strand of hair from his daughter's face. She made it pretty far, Alexandra observed. It's 11:50. Around them, the restaurant was buzzing with anticipation. The band had stopped playing, and a television in the corner was showing the crowds gathered in Times Square. 10 minutes to go, Jack said. Any last confessions for the old year? Alexandra laughed. Isn't that supposed to be for priests? Tonight, I'm wearing multiple hats, rescuer of stranded diners, dance partner, and confessor of year-end regrets. She considered his question, surprised to find herself wanting to be honest with this man she'd known for barely 2 hours. I've been lonely, she admitted quietly. Not just tonight, but for a long time. I've built my life around achievement, success, proving myself. Somewhere along the way, I forgot how to connect with people. Jack's expression was thoughtful, not pitying. She appreciated that. It's never too late to change course, he said. That's the beauty of new beginnings. Is that what?